10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Ninja vanish.
Well, hello.
Hello.
What's up?
Ceiling right now.
Oh, you see anything you like?
I do. You got it.
I got it. Yeah, I got it. Oh, yeah, I was finally able to get my mail today after 2 fucking weeks at the new house and not having access to all the stuff that got sent. And I was finally able to get it today. And I opened the box up. I was like, oh, somebody sent me something. Look at that. I haven't played around with it yet. I know it's got like lights and shit in it. Let me see. Where is this? There's a switch here somewhere, right?
Yeah, it's just on the underside.
There we go. Dude, it's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, that's sick.
Okay, I can't put it on with my glasses on. Jesus. There we go. All right. That is fucking awesome. I gotta find a place for it. I want to put it next to the other one that I've got.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I just opened the box like an hour ago because we just got home. We had to go run a bunch of errands today, and finally got a washer and dryer in the house, and had to go pick that up and do a whole bunch of shit. And I got home, and I was like, okay, let me get everything opened up. And I opened it up. You know, I don't know. I figured you'd send me like a dildo or something. I didn't know what the hell you were going to send me. So, and yeah, dude, it is fucking awesome. It's got the Punisher logos on the side. Dude, it looks badass. Did you paint this yourself?
I 3D printed and painted it, yeah.
Dude, the paint job on this thing, just like it's hard to tell, but just like the what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? Weathering, yes. Looks fucking great, dude. It looks awesome. It looks awesome. I fucking love it. I cannot wait. I'd like to get them both on the shelf next to each other, so that way I can, have that shelf for this stuff. So I'm gonna do some rearranging and stuff here. Actually, I'm gonna put it right back where it was. Right here. I'm gonna do some rearranging and stuff for my shelves to get that to where I can actually put that up next to the other one, because that is fucking sweet. Thank you so much, dude. I love it.
It's kind of a double-edged sword. It was taking up too much space on my shelf. I was like, I'll send it to someone else so they can make room for it. I've had it for a while, so.
Dude, I'll make fucking room for it. It's gonna look good next to that one right there. So it will work. It will work. Thank you. That is awesome. That is awesome. Oh, but anyway, what else did I get? I got some stuff today. I picked up some things today. I don't know if I should show some stuff that I got. I was hoping Dookie Doo would be here early.
Sorry.
I wanted to get your approval on some things that I picked up.
Oh. Well, I'll be after. I mean, there'll be time after. I'm not going anywhere.
Well, I just picked up some stuff, and I picked up stuff for both of them. Because me and my wife have always done that, like with all our nieces and nephews.
Well, that's awesome, because that's what we do. So
yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah.
Just because we don't ever want, like we even do it with our 2 younger daughters. Like, we don't ever want one to feel left out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could talk about it. I mean.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Well,
No, it's cool.
So I got some stuff for Duke's kid's birthday, and anyway, no, I just picked up a couple things for her, and then I picked up some stuff for him. And you said princess stuff, so I got this fucking. It's a Disney princess. It transforms from a carriage into a castle.
Oh, she's gonna love that. Yeah, she's got a bunch of stuff that size. She's gonna love that. That's her thing, man. That's right up her alley. Yeah, thank you.
And then I saw this, and I was like, this was just my nostalgia more than anything else. But maybe she'll like it. They've done a re-release on Care Bears.
Oh, she'll love that. She's big time.
So
big man, I think I want that.
Yeah, right. Shit, right?
Right.
So I picked that stuff up for her, and then for your boy, I'm like, I'm not gonna show up without stuff for him. So I picked up this stuff for him, which is we got Darth Vader, Moff Gideon, and then Mandalorian and Grogu with his ship.
Oh yeah.
So.
Right.
Oh, thanks, man. He's gonna love that.
So
yeah.
I just like I said, so you know what I'm talking about. Like when one has a party, you don't want the other one to feel left out. So like we do that with all the kids in our family. It's like, well, we're gonna get at least something for the other one. You know, whoever's birthday it's not, at least it's still gonna get something because we don't want anybody to feel left out. So anyway, so I'll bring that shit tomorrow, and then I'll bring my enchiladas.
Sweet. Yeah, we're excited. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna get there early to set up with my mom and dad, and then like she's getting the kids down, or like her down for a nap, and then she's coming over. So
okay,
we're all excited.
Well, yeah, but anyway, so we got that stuff today, but I also picked up some other geek shit, which I was very happy about. I finally got my Superior Spider-Man.
Nice.
I've been wanting to get for a while. And I got my my Spider-Man Unlimited. Fucking love this show.
So that's like the retro. Is that like the card back?
Card back. It's a retro card back. It's a modern figure like all the rest of them I have.
Okay.
But it's a retro card back made to look like the ones from the 90s.
Oh yeah, that was my era. Like that is so cool looking.
I loved the Spider-Man Unlimited show, and they finally released a figure for him. So I went into GameStop and I saw these two that I didn't have, and I was like, oh! And even the guy behind the counter goes, because we walked in and the guy's like, oh, are you looking at anything for particular? It's me and my wife, and I was like, no, just looking around. I said, we just moved to town and I haven't been here yet. We were at GameStop, and he's like, oh, just window shopping. Yeah. So I was looking around. And I saw the Spider-Man Unlimited, and I went, oh! And my wife's next to me, and she looks at me because I made a noise. And he goes, and the dude from the counter goes, did that window shopping just turn into something? And I looked at my wife, and then I saw the Spider-Man, and I was like, oh! And she goes, just get your Spider-Man stuff. She's like, it's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. So I picked those up today. Oh, and I did get. I got DCUC Spectre.
Nice.
Love that. And come on, don't lose your shit. Hold on to your back. DCUC Deathstroke.
Oh, that is nice.
With, I believe he's got all his accessories. He's got his sword, he's got his staff, guns,
Battle everything.
Yeah. So I got that from the shop close to me, Plastic Planet, and
mine has that weird issue that some of the DCUC figures have, where it'll haze up, and I have to just wash it off every now and then.
Yeah, dude. But these were. This one was 15, and this one was 20, and I know for a fact Destro sells for way more than 20,
especially complete like that.
Yeah, so
that's like an incomplete price.
Yeah, so I was very excited.
My Deathstroke wasn't complete. I was missing the bandolier, and I think maybe it was a rifle or something.
Yeah.
I used like some fodder and gave him like his gear.
Well, I picked them up. It was like I said, it was 15 and 20, and I picked up the Spider-Mans. I picked up the birthday presents. We went. We drove to Flint, picked up a washer and dryer, got that home, hooked it up, got a washer and dryer in the house now. Thank God, because fucking going to the laundromat is retarded. Like, if you go to the laundromat once a week, you're spending like $30, maybe more, to do laundry when you've got 3 kids at home. You know, it's you, your wife, 3 kids. Like, you're spending like at least $30 to $40 a week to do laundry at a laundromat. Like, dude, the washer and dryer is going to pay for itself. Like, you know, so, and we got to use one from a resale store, so we didn't pay a lot for them, but yeah, had to get that taken care of. So, and then I know this is the Geek Chat, guys. We were like, okay, because we were over here where we're at, and there was we were hungry. We're like, let's go out to eat. And there were 2 choices. It was this burger bar place or the Mexican food restaurant.
What'd you choose?
Well, we went with Mexican food, and that was a huge mistake. And
Yep.
I knew
it was going to be for you.
I knew it was gonna be, but me and my wife both knew. But we were like, but their menu sounded great, and we were hopeful. And then, you know, we got the chips and dip first, and I'm starting to dip into the salsa, and I'm like, this just tastes like tomato. Like, there's no heat to this salsa at all.
I'm like, this is the best place ever. And you're like,
and then they bring out the queso, some queso blanca, which was good. The queso blanca was good. It was not spicy at all, but it's queso. It's not really supposed to be spicy. It's just cheese dip. And then we ordered. We were like, okay, so she ordered a burrito thing that sounded good with rice and beans, and I ordered like a pick 3, so it like comes with an enchilada, a taco, and a tostada, and rice and beans. And I was like, well, let's get a small thing of fajitas that we can try the fajitas, because I want to try a little bit of everything just to see what fucking, you know, see if they're good, right? So right off the bat, like the first thing lady said when she comes out, I'm telling her what I want on my pick 3, and I'm like, okay, I want the taco, it's a asada taco, which is supposed to be, you know, like grilled or whatever, the tostada and the enchilada. And she goes, what kind of sauce do you want? Or she asked me what kind of enchilada. I was like, well, chicken. She goes, what kind of sauce do you want it? And I was like, well, green sauce. And she's like, well, that's pretty spicy. Are you sure? And I was like, yeah. And I got my hopes up. I got my hopes up for a second, because she's like, oh, it's pretty spicy. I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. Let's do that. Anyway, my wife's burrito, she's like, this tastes like Taco Bell. The fajitas were not even fajitas. You know what it was? It was fucking, it was like a slow cooked pot roast that they just shred and put on a tortilla. I'm like, that's not fucking fajitas. I don't know. It had no flavor. There's no fajita seasoning on it at all. It just tasted like pot, which, look, don't get me wrong, I love pot roast. But that's not fajita meat. And fajita meat has, like, there's certain spices and things you use for fajitas. So the fajitas just were not good. Her burrito, she's like, this tastes like a Taco Bell burrito. And I was like, and then the fucking green, I even asked her because first I took a bite of the enchilada. Green sauce was not spicy at all. And then she came back to the table, and I was like, hey, she's like, oh, do you need anything? I was like, yeah. Do you have any like really hot salsa? Like really hot salsa? She's like, well, the hottest one we have is the green sauce on there. She's like, do you want more of that? And I was like, I guess, yeah, if that's the spiciest stuff you have, yeah, bring me more. She's like, well, I can bring you a little cup full of it. And I was like, okay. She's like, what are you going to do with it? I'm like, I'm going to dump it all over all this food. I was like, I like salsa on my food. Oh, she's like, you didn't like the other salsa? I was like, well, it has a good flavor, but it's not hot. There's no spice to it. She's like, and you like the green salsa? That's not too spicy for you? I was like, honestly, it's not really spicy at all, but it is better than the red salsa you brought out.
God.
And I'm just like, man, okay. I tried. It's white people Mexican food is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And It was look. It wasn't bad. It's just not what I would consider Mexican food. You know what I mean? Like the ingredients are there mostly. The spices aren't at all. And then, like I said, the fajitas for some reason it was like fucking you know what I'm talking about when you like slow cook a pot roast and then you take it out and you like shred it. You know that's not fajita meat. Fajita is like chunks of beef chopped up. You know. But anyway, we tried it and I told my wife, I was like, well, next time we're just gonna go to the fucking burger bar because at least I know you're not gonna fuck up a burger. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, it was, and I saw lots of people there enjoying their food. You know, it was lunchtime on a Saturday. There's lots of people there just loving it up, and I'm going, oh, okay. All right, well, I'm glad they enjoyed it. You know, I'm glad they enjoyed it. But the enchiladas I bring tomorrow are going to be delicious, and I'm going to
so excited.
And I also make up a little it's just chorizo sauce that you put like on top of the enchiladas. It's delicious. It will be very good. I've gotten many compliments from real Mexicans on my enchiladas. So
nice, man. We're excited. I'm excited.
Yeah. Now, I do make my enchiladas a little bit different just for the sake of quickness. Instead of rolling them up individually, what I do is I basically it's all the same ingredients, but I do layers, almost like a lasagna instead. So it's like a layer of tortillas and then the chicken cheese salsa mix. Oof. And then another layer of tortilla. So you eat it almost like a lasagna, but it's an enchilada. It's just easier to cook and make that way, which is why I make it that way.
Yeah.
As opposed to individually rolling each little enchilada. So
I'm into that.
But the taste is the same, and it's fucking delicious. It's just way easier to cook it that way. So anyway, welcome to Food Talk. Anyway, so it's Geek Night. We haven't done Geek Chat in
long time.
4 weeks, I think, because of the move. You know, like the week before the move, I didn't do one, and then
it's been a minute,
and it's been a while. It's been a while. So we're just here to talk about some geek shit and have a little fun tonight and talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Oh, Duke, did I tell you we did it? We were talking about it on the show last night. I saw a dude who who took a Warhammer figure and he did it up in all silver, and then I don't know if he custom made the head or whatever, and he did it up like a bulked up fucking RoboCop.
What?
And it looked fucking awesome. Like
Where'd
it was
you see
the
that
same
at?
color. Let me get the picture pulled because I still got the picture. I saved it in my
yeah, I want to see that.
And it was
man. I noticed something too that Cortez was talking about. Like, I don't know if it's your lighting or the camera, but you're looking like a Simpsons character right now.
Oh, really? It might. I don't know. Let me see. I got a bunch of lights going over here that I usually don't have.
You need to eat some fruit. You're looking very jaundiced.
Did that help at all?
You're still yellow.
Yeah,
okay, well,
yellow, yeah.
It's probably just the camera, but because I look way more pale than jaundice.
And now that you're here, like we can. Oh, I could. You're gonna get into Warhammer. I'm telling you, we're getting into Warhammer. It's gonna be awesome.
Well, you could come on the customizing show sometime, Duke.
Yes.
Customize with us.
I'd love to.
Okay, here it is, Duke. I want you to see this. Look at this.
All right. Oh, dude, that's so sick.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it's a space marine. Oh, that looks sick. That's not even that crazy either. It's just a really good paint job, and it's a little altering of the chest plate. That looks so good.
Doesn't it though?
I think there's actually. Oh, that's sick, and that's not even that hard. Oh, that looks cool. That's awesome. That's 10 out of 10 for me, man.
Yeah,
I like that.
I saw that. We were talking about it on the show last night. Like, I would like to take one of the larger Warhammer figures, like in the scale that I collect,
and do that,
and just make a big, badass, bulked up like RoboCop. Because they did a damn good job, man. It looks really cool.
Well, and they got the pose down, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of your bigger figures, I saw some really cool stuff from McFarlane posted since he needs more licensed stuff.
Oh, what did McFarlane post?
Well, it's Toy Fair this weekend, so some new figures come up with like some of the main characters for Warhammer, like the from like the animations and stuff they've done.
Mm-hmm.
The characters in that short on Amazon Prime, one with the 3 dots.
Like actual action figures, or just more of that?
Yes, the actual action figures.
Okay, because I mean that's cool if it's actual like action figures, but you know, like otherwise, no. Like if it's gonna be actual like cool stuff, then I'm down for it, and you know, awesome. But if he does, because he did that Warcraft stuff that we all got excited about. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh, cool, Warcraft, and then it was just like statues. That was it. So, like, yeah. I mean, look, I still think McFarlane Toys can make good action figures. I think they've done it for a long time, off and on, and you know, like, I love their Warhammer line and stuff. Like, I think they can. I think
Lieutenant Titus
screwed up with I think they screwed up with the DC line, and I think it's less about the figures themselves and more about the creative process between deciding what figures to do and how to interpret those characters has been a bigger problem than like the company's ability to make an actual action figure. I think they can make good action figures. I think most of their Spawn stuff is great, even though I don't really collect it. It's just not something I'm interested in collecting. I think they're good figures. I think they've done a lot of cool stuff. I loved when they did that 6-inch scale Fortnite line several years ago. That was great. I love their Warhammer line. You know, I loved their stuff in the late 90s and the early 2000s where they, you know, had very, very limited articulation, but their sculpts and paints on those things were phenomenal. Like, they can do good stuff if they want to. But they certainly deserved to lose the DC license. And I'm really, really, really looking forward to seeing what Mattel does with it.
It's like they were the stuff they showed recently from the last toy show and this one, a Toy Fair. It's like they're trying to like, look, we can make other characters. It's too little, too late. It's like you kept just making Batman stuff over and over.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Patriot in the Dark. Duke didn't take me to a bad Mexican place. No. I wasn't with Duke. I was with my wife. We just were like out shopping today, and we were hungry, and we're like, well, let's pick some place we haven't been.
So where'd you go?
Pueblo Viejo.
Where's that at?
It's in the pier. It's here in the pier.
Okay.
It's like up. I don't remember. It's somewhere
Lapierre's all I needed. I didn't know if you were out and about where you went. So
No. We mostly were going around to Lapeer today, except for when we went to go pick up the washer and dryer. We had to drive out to Flint. Yeah, not good. And there's a couple other Mexican food places around here, but I just know it's going to be the same thing. I mean, and I get it. Look, I understand. Like, I'm from a different part of I was 5 minutes from Mexico. You know what I mean? Like, my tastes, and especially just growing up in Texas, period, when you're a border state like that, it's like, okay, up here, like, I discovered Culver's and cheese curds. They're fucking delicious. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
They're fucking amazing. I could eat those fucking cheese curds all goddamn day long. I shouldn't, but I could. That's not something we have in Texas. But like good Wisconsin cheddar cheese in these little fucking deep fried balls, fucking amazing, right? Because look where we are, right? Of course it's going to be better there. Same thing with Mexican food. It's better where I'm from. Like, it's a lot better where I'm from.
The problem with your Mexican restaurants up there, they don't have a Jorge working in the back. They got George.
It was all white people working at this Mexican restaurant. Actually, that's not true, because I was joking with my wife. There was one guy who was Hispanic, and he was running the bar. And I told my wife, I was like, that dude needs to stop making drinks and get to the kitchen right now. And I was like, and then I said, damn, that sounded incredibly racist, but that's not what I meant. I'm just saying he could probably make better food than anybody else in here. So,
facts.
But anyway, it's I don't know, whatever. It's cool. But no. Duke didn't take me to the Mexican restaurant. I think Duke knows better than that. I don't think Duke, you wouldn't take me to a Mexican restaurant, would you?
No, that's why we went to a diner, because I was like, I'm not messing this up.
Which, like, by the way, that place, that Brian's Diner or whatever, Brian's Family Food, that shit was good.
Yeah.
Fries were good. Burger was good. Those little fucking deep fried tacos were fucking great.
Yeah. Wow. I was like, okay, I'm taking him to a diner because you can't mess up like a diner.
Yeah.
And it's good. And I was like, okay, he'll decide where he wants to go for Mexican food. I was thinking Italian. I was like, if I can grab an Italian place, I'll be happy. Yeah. And I wasn't going to like a chain restaurant. Like, we're not going to Applebee's.
Yeah.
I take my kids to Applebee's and they think it's, super fancy. It's funny.
Oh yeah.
Which is fun. I like Applebee's. I'm easy. But
have you ever been kicked out of an Applebee's?
Oh yeah. Are you crazy? So yeah, there you go.
No, but Brian's was a great choice because that food was good. I enjoyed that meal. So in fact, I told my wife, I was like, we're gonna have to take the kids to Brian's. Yeah. Good experience. Thumbs up. Now I want to try their breakfast. So I told the kids we'll probably take them out to breakfast one of these days when they're not in school and I'm off. We'll get up early and go get some breakfast food and some pancakes and some eggs and bacon and shit like that. So because it was like I was telling you, I'm gonna have the burger, because if they fuck up a burger, then I know it's not gonna be good food. They did not fuck up that burger. That burger was great. Their fries were great. Like, everything I had was great. So 2 thumbs up for Brian's Family Restaurant in Lapeer, Michigan. And it's like 2 minutes from my house. It's like right there. Of course, everything in Lapeer is like right there.
Yeah, it's not that far.
There is nothing more than 5 minutes away from you if you live anywhere in Lapeer. Yeah. So, which is one of the reasons why I picked this place, was because when I was looking at it, it was like, they have fucking everything. Like, so, and then plus Duke, you were, because I know when I mentioned it to you, I was like, hey, what do you think of Lapeer?
Oh yeah.
And you were like, you said, if I didn't live here, I'd live in Lapeer.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, see, that's good enough for me. So
yeah, there's a bunch of, and like, if you go north of where you're at, when you head out to my place tomorrow, you're gonna head north. There's a bunch of really good property up there that's more rural, but still not too far away from
like right there.
Yeah. So that's my thought, is that you still get the best of both worlds, where you've got to have a reason to go out that way.
Yep. Well, I'm very happy with this town. My wife was loving it. When we went to Flint today, to go pick up the washer and stuff, and we were driving through, and we went to this little resale shop, and on our drive back, once we got like out of Flint and back on the highway and heading back to Lapeer, she's like, I like the Lapeer a lot. She's like, it's a great little town. She's like, after going to Flint, I like it a whole lot more.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You're like, you become really appreciative of the area, because it's, and it's not all of Flint is horrible, but a lot of it is. And you're like, oh, I'm happy where we're at. We're just out of this area, but you got to go to it for certain things.
Yeah. Well, we went because this little resale shop was right up off of Beecher.
Oh, okay.
So that's where we went to find the resale shop.
Yep.
So you know what I'm talking about.
I do. Yeah,
that's where we were.
Beecher's challenging, so there you go. Yeah,
Hey, the
man.
people who were there were nice, and we got a washer and dryer that works. They even plugged everything in, let us show it, paid a really good price for it. So it was great. It was fine, and they were cool and everything. But I mean, it's a fucking shithole where we went.
Yeah, I'm like, get out of there. Well, good. That makes me happy that you got that through, though.
So,
yeah.
But anyway. So what new stuff has everybody been watching? What new geek media has everybody been consuming? Because I think really, because we've just been so busy here and everything, like we're on season 3 of Stranger Things. We're trying to catch up because season 5 comes out this year.
Oh,
so
you've never watched it, right?
Stranger Things?
Or you have?
I've watched it. We're rewatching it. But we watched it year to year, which honestly isn't year to year because it comes out like one season every 2 years or some shit like that.
Oh, 2 or 3. We're on.
No shit, right? So, because the first season was 2015 or 2016.
16.
Like, so it's been like almost 10 years or 10 years now at this point since the first season.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we've watched it all. But we're on season 3 right now.
I am worried about where they're going to go with that show because like I'm concerned at where we were left off in the last movie where like obviously the Upside Down is like breaking into the world and everything's quarantine. What I enjoyed was the normalcy of the world versus like, oh my gosh, there's something going on. Yeah, we've got to like have something. I didn't want like a monster movie blockbuster. The whole world's going to explode. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that's going to bode well. I've heard that this is going to be an amazing season, and every episode is like is almost like movie scale epic good. Yeah. So we'll see, but I don't know.
Well, the behind the scenes stuff I've seen, it's like normal Hawkins, Indiana sets and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, if from what I remember, it wasn't like the last scene of season 4. It's like they're like, oh, we won, and then they go out and they're standing over this hill, looking over the town, and like the fucking dark clouds are rolling in over Hawking. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know where they're gonna go. I also don't know, like, I almost wish they hadn't ended it like that.
Agreed.
Because I think they should have ended it on a happy note. And then what I think they should have done for multiple reasons is season 5 should take place about 10 years in the future. Yeah. For multiple reasons, I think it should take place in the early 90s. And I get that's not the vibe they're going for, but those kids are all in their fucking 20s now because, again, they filmed the first season in 2015. It's been a decade, and they're supposed to, like, between the first and fourth season, it's only supposed to have been like 2 years or something like that. Like, they went from middle school to high school. And it's just as I'm watching the seasons, just like between season 1 and 2, where they went from being just between season 1 and 2 was like from 7th grade to 8th grade. It's supposed to be 10 months later, and I'm like, dude, those kids are clearly like 2 years older. Like,
and that's where I have a little bit of an issue because I'm like, guys, we got to move this story along. Like, you got to that's what I want, and it's kind of the Carl thing where Carl was supposed to be like 12 and he was like 17.
Yeah,
just progress it. Or
they need to do time jumps.
Yeah, they really do. And I mean, I don't know. And look, I have as of yet not been upset or disappointed with any season of Stranger Things. So far, I've liked them all.
Agreed. Some more than others.
Yeah, some more than others. My least favorite season is still season 2.
Oh yeah.
But I just finished rewatching it like 2 days ago, and I will say, the rewatch, I did enjoy season 2 more than I did originally. So that was good. I mean, that was a nice, like, oh, okay, yeah. I don't know why. For some reason in my head, I remembered way, way, way more time spent with those like street kids.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
I cannot stand those street kids.
But it's only an episode and a half.
I know.
Out of 9 episodes, it's only an episode and a half.
So, somebody said like the greatest plot line that's ever been dropped is the 3 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's true because they introduced this other chick who grew up in the fucking whatever it was with Elle, and did you fucking never see him again? Like, just okay, well. But there was stuff like that where when I rewatched it, I was like, oh yeah, that wasn't really a big part of the season. Like, there's an episode where she goes to find her mother and she spends an episode there, and then at the end of that episode, leaves, and then the next episode she's with them that whole episode, and then has left to go back to Hawkins somewhere between the beginning to the middle of the following episode. So it's not even really an episode and a half that those people are even in the show. But so I actually did. It's still my least favorite season, but I did enjoy it more rewatching it this time than I did watching it originally, however many fucking years ago that was. 8 years ago now, I think, at this point. So, but it's still a really good show. I mean, my favorite season, and I'm watching it now. My favorite season's always been season 3, and I'm rewatching it now. We're almost halfway through the season,
Season 3 was really, really good. I'll agree with you.
Good. And it was for me anyway. Like I think it was like the most nostalgic and had the best. Like that was the season where we really got the Dusty and Steve team up stuff, which those are my 2 favorite characters on the show.
Yep.
And so there was that. There was the whole tribute to Neverending Story. Billy actually gets redeemed in the end of that season. Like there was a lot of good stuff. Introducing the Russians, which were like the titular 80s bad guys for everything. Also, like, I enjoyed a lot. So 3 has always been my favorite season, and so far it's remaining my favorite season. But I really like the show. I hope season 5 is awesome. I have no reason to believe it won't be because, the show's been good the whole time. It's had its ups and downs, but overall, I'm still really enjoying the rewatch. I still don't know. They still haven't set a date yet, though, for when season 5.
October, huh? I think October, November.
Is it October? Because last time I tried looking it up a week ago or something, and it just says set to premiere sometime in 2025, and I'm like, okay. And we haven't really gotten a trailer yet. We've gotten some of the behind the scenes stuff. They dropped like a 3-minute YouTube video of like a behind the scenes thing that I watched a few weeks ago. So we did get that, but no trailer yet. So I don't know. Stranger Things hasn't disappointed me yet. So, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. But I agree. I wish they hadn't ended season 4 the way they did, because it was just like, oh, everything's about to go to shit. At least that's the impression you get when you're, when you watch that last scene. You're like, oh, I guess this is just going to be really fucking bad,
Yeah, that's how I took it. So I don't know where that's going to go from there.
Yeah.
But I hope that we'll get some sort of, I just, going to school and having the normalcy, and then it breaks down. That's the kind of stuff I really enjoyed. So we'll see. But I don't know. I do like me some Dusty. Dusty's the funniest character in my opinion.
Dusty's great. And, Steve's kind of a douchebag in the first 2/3 of season 1, but then like redeems himself at the end of season 1. And then he just becomes more and more likable, and like just the scene at the first episode of season 3 where like Dusty's been gone on some like fucking camp or whatever where he met that girl, and he comes back to town and he goes to the mall to see Steve, and like they do that fucking like they got like their own little secret handshake and dance and shit when they see each other, and then that chick's like, how many fucking children do you hang out with? And he's like, oh, like they those two characters have good rapport when they're together. So
yeah,
I like the Steve Dusty combo. I want to see a Steve and Dusty like buddy cop spinoff show from this, of them like traveling around like Supernatural. Like,
like Highway to Heaven. They're going to helping people around around the 80s. Oh, I love that. Man.
That would be awesome. I would totally buy that. Steve and Dusty going around, paranormal investigators or whatever, you know?
Paranormal investigators in like 1991.
Yeah.
Oh, that
would be awesome.
That's not
that would be a
idea.
fantastic spinoff. I would watch the shit out of that. So, but we'll see. So yeah, we've been rewatching that, which I've been very happy with. I am trying to catch up. I think I'm one episode behind on Invincible, and I did want to talk about this a little bit tonight because that show is that's another one. It's just been fantastic. Now I know it's not for everybody because not everybody's into animated stuff. Like my wife just can't. I don't know what it is. Like she sees a cartoon and her brain just says this must be for kids. So she really, and there are people like that, and I get that. And also, it's a rated R animated show, too. So that's not for everybody. But damn, that show, like I said, I'm an episode behind. So I got the episode that came out this week. I haven't watched it yet. But, dude, it is such a phenomenally good show.
I haven't watched it yet. I'm letting it build up.
Yeah, it's so damn good. Like, this season has just been good every step of the way. Every episode's been fantastic so far. And look, it always has been. I mean, from the minute the first episode dropped, however many, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever it was, that show's been fantastic. And Invincible is one of those things where, because of when it came out, I never read the comic, but it was such a big deal in geek culture that I knew so many people that talked about it that I had a good understanding of, a lot of the basics about Invincible and some of the characters and some of the bigger plot points and things like that. But, and so I don't know. I mean, I've heard some people say, online mostly, nobody I know personally, but I've heard people, one of their complaints is that, well, the comic's better than the show. And so maybe that's true. I don't know because I never read the comic.
The issue, it's following the comic pretty well. The issue, I would say, what they're complaining about, they are highly condensing the stories because it's animated.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, like I mean, and I can completely understand though how if you read the comic, like you can be like, well, because it was spread out more, you got to flesh out some storylines and some characters more. And yeah, I'm sure that, that was better if you read the comic, but I think they've done a pretty damn good job with the animated show.
Mm-hmm.
So
Invincible is a show that convinced me I don't need live action. I feel like animation is a superior medium to tell the story.
I will say, especially, and I think Invincible is an example of this. I also think Creature Commandos is an example of this. That, maybe for the comic book genre, the superhero genre, maybe animated is just the way to go. And not always. And look, there's obviously been a ton of crappy animated superhero stuff, through the years. But I mean, if it's done right, I mean, Invincible to me is every bit as good as any, Marvel movie or anything else, And I'll say, and I know not everybody did, but like Creature Commandos as well. I loved that show. I thought Creature Commandos was fantastic. I loved every episode, every character. I thought it was great. And when you got shows like that pumping out, and again, this is not, these are not shows made for kids. They're just taking advantage of a medium that allows them to do things that would just be so much harder to do in live action. And when you're telling stories about specific types of characters like superheroes, it makes a lot of sense to do that. And if you do it right, it's every bit as good as any television show, live action that you would watch, or any movie or anything else. So, I mean, I would not be opposed to, Marvel, DC, whatever. Just saying, you know what? When we do TV shows, we're gonna do animated.
For years there, before they start doing the New 52 stuff, when the DC animated, when DC was doing direct, like animated versions of comic book stories and staying true to the stories, that was some of the best comic book stories we ever seen on screen.
Yeah.
When they start letting writers do their own thing, create their own universe, that's when things want to kind of veered off the.
I will tell you one of my favorite things Superman ever is All-Star Superman, that animated movie.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a damn good movie. I mean, and there's plenty of stuff like. Although I think DC's, for the most part, not every time, DC's for the most part always done a really good job with their animated movies and TV shows, going back to Batman the Animated Series. Marvel's been much more hit or miss. They had X-Men, right? But then they also had X-Men, in the 90s, X-Men, Spider-Man. I obviously loved Spider-Man Unlimited as well. I think that show got the shaft because it got canceled too soon. They opened up a lot of really cool stuff for Spider-Man Unlimited. On Earth 2 that with the High Evolutionary and a lot of other shit going on in that I thought were just fantastic. I loved what they did with Venom and Carnage, and there was a lot of cool stuff in that. I thought that was a great show. But then you had other stuff. The only thing that
really hurt Unlimited, they didn't give the animated series Spider-Man a real conclusion, bringing back Mary Jane and all this stuff before doing Unlimited.
Yeah.
Unlimited should start it with, hey, like the Spider-Man animated series conclusion with like Mary Jane's back and all this stuff and that.
Yeah. No, they should have. They should have given the animated series a clear ending. But then at the same time, and let's be honest, and while I did watch these shows, and at the time I did enjoy them, looking back, they weren't that good. You had stuff like the Iron Man show and the Fantastic Four show in the 90s as well. Remember those two?
Iron Man show was some of
didn't
the
like
best stuff. I
love
love
the
Iron
Iron
Man.
Man show.
Iron Man show got dark after the second season. Iron Man is one of the best examples of a show that started out and had potential, but had a lot of rough beginnings. Yeah. And the second season, they took all the criticism, they went dark. They gave War Machine PTSD and said he was having time off to deal with PTSD. That's a children's show. So I'm telling you, like season 2 got better. It was dark. It was really good.
And kick-ass intro too.
Yeah. Well, remember the I don't remember.
I can tell you one that was horrible though was that like Extreme Avenger show where they all had these weird gear and shit.
It was like Avengers United or something like that.
Something like that.
Where they didn't have the main three, so there was no Hulk, no Thor, no main four, no Hulk, no Thor, no Iron Man, no Captain America. So Hawkeye, was it Hawkeye? No, it was Ant-Man who led the team. And you had Hawkeye, and you had Tigra,
Scarlet
Witch, and they had everybody had fucking armor for some reason, even though they've got powers. And that was not a good show. I don't remember how many episodes it lasted, but I remember loving the Silver Surfer cartoon from the 90s. I think it only made it like 8 episodes before it got canceled. I don't think it lasted very long.
I like that show too.
But they did a really cool, like, at the time, the mid 90s, this kind of cross between animation and CGI.
Yep.
For that show that, I don't know. I haven't gone back and watched it in a long time. So maybe it doesn't hold up, but like at the time it looked amazing. And they were doing some really like, kind of heady sci-fi type stories, with who Silver Surfer and Norrin Rad was and the shit he had to go through and Galactus and all this stuff. There was some cool stuff in there. I liked it a lot.
There are 13 episodes.
13. Oh, they made it to 13. That's something. Let me get this super chat here real quick. Sorry. Does a bear crap in the woods? Ask a rabbit. Holy scrotum, Batman! You got all your toys up already after the move. When you scare Dookie Boy, got to put it on camera. We'll see. We'll see. Don't spoil the surprises. Never spoil the surprise. Anyway, but yeah, I do think though, I still think though that DC has been consistently better with their animated stuff than DC, or excuse me, DC's been consistently better than Marvel has.
The
with their
best
animated stuff.
Marvel cartoon series was Earth Money's Avengers, which was great until Disney got involved.
Well, yeah, because then they changed it to be more like the movies.
Well, they wanted it canceled so they can replace it with a show that looks like all the characters and cast from the movies.
Yeah, they canceled that one and put out Avengers Assemble.
Yeah, which Avengers Assemble was garbage. They had an episode where they were fighting over cookies.
Uh-huh.
I was really enjoying the Hank Pym progression. I wanted to see more of that.
I think the only storyline I remember from that show that I actually thought was good was when God damn it, totally blanking, when Squadron Supreme showed up from that other dimension, alternate dimension. I thought that was actually a good storyline in Avengers Assemble. Of course, that's the version of Squadron Supreme where they're like kind of bad guys. I mean, they're bad guys. They're bad guys compared to the Avengers. But
they're
like
basically Justice Lords.
Huh?
They're basically Justice Lords, like from DC.
Yeah. It's very, it's kind of a cross between Justice Lords and like Injustice, where they're like, well, to make the world safe, we had to take it over, kind of shit. And it was that version of Squadron Supreme, which isn't my favorite version of Squadron. I remember very, very affectionately the original miniseries, Squadron Supreme miniseries from the 80s. I had that as a kid, where they were darker but still great analogs for the Justice League. Like, they were still good guys, and then they, but I mean, I get it, whatever. They wanted to make them more edgy and bad guys and whatever, because that was the cool thing to do, but whatever. Another super chat here. Preston Garvey says, top 10 shows that need a remake. See, that's the thing, is like a remake. I mean, we can go through the list, because there are shows that need to be remade, but there's also a lot of shows that I think might actually benefit more from a continuation rather than a remake. Like Serenity, for instance, right? Or Firefly, whatever you want to fucking call it. Same thing.
Farscape continuation.
Farscape continuation would be fantastic. So when you get to like remake, like completely remaking something, just starting over fresh, I don't know. I mean, the best example of it being done really well is Battlestar Galactica. The remake was far superior in every way to the original show, and I love the original show.
Which I think what with remakes, they shouldn't remake something that was already good. They should remake stuff that has a great concept but had a poor execution.
Right.
Aragon. I know it's a movie, but
that's a movie.
Aragon was done so dirty in a movie format.
So George says Airwolf. The problem is, I don't think Airwolf would be very interesting today. I'm on it. Like in the 80s, the concept of like this super secret futuristic helicopter and the people that operated it was really cool and innovative. I don't really think it would be cool and innovative today. I think you would get a show like that fucking 2011 remake of Knight Rider, which was just dog shit. That was a shitty show.
That was just pure ass camp. It was just, and every episode basically existed to make sure they hired young, attractive people, and then we need to make sure somebody is in a bikini or in their underwear in every episode.
Yeah.
That's what the story points needed. We need the heroine to be in her underwear or a bikini.
I think there's two shows that come to mind that I remember liking as a kid. Neither one of them were exactly long-lived. They got canceled, but I thought they had cool concepts. One that I would love to see be remade, because I don't think a continuation would work, is Automan. Who remembers Automan?
I do. Yes, that would
Yeah.
be.
I think that would be, because I think you could do a lot of cool stuff given
I think
what's going on in the world right now with AI and everything and quantum computing. I think with everything going on with AI and quantum computing, you could like work that in to make a modern version of Automan that worked really, really well. Mm-hmm. I think that would be good for a reboot. Another one that I remember really, really liking was, and I don't know if anybody remembers this show. Most people only remember it, if they do, because it had Louis Gossett Jr. in it. It was called The Powers of Matthew Starr. Does anybody remember this show?
No.
I think we talked about before, and I vaguely remember when you described it.
Yeah, it's basically basically about a dude who is, I think he's like, fuck, what is he? I want to say he's like royalty from another planet that got mixed up in an a war with another species, and very in the vein of like Superman, he gets sent to Earth to save his ass by his
he's
family.
Prince Adam.
The what?
He's Prince Adam in the new movie.
Yeah, sort of. Anyway, I remember liking it a lot as a kid. It was very, very 80s, and there was a lot of issues with it. It did not last long. It had like one fucking season, I think. Maybe it had. Did it get to 2? I don't remember if it got to 2 or not. But I think there's some potential. See, I would, like you were saying, Jared, I would go with stuff like that. Stuff that had a cool concept but didn't really last long and didn't really catch on with people, and find a way to bring it back and make it better. Because trying to remake something that was already really good, had a good run, beloved characters, well known, you run into a lot of problems trying to do that. That's where I think you step away from remakes and you go into continuations.
Well, George is Cortez, what he was talking about there. He's talking about rebooting Great American Hero. I was getting ready to say, I don't want to reboot Great American Hero. I want a continuation. Have it where like his grandchild or something that finds the suit in the attic in a crate or like a chest or whatever.
Yeah. Jen said remake Kolchak the Night Stalker. They did, by the way. It lasted one season. They did in like the 2000s. I don't know if anybody remembers it. Kolchak the Night Stalker got a remake. I thought it was good, but nobody else did. I think it was on Sci-Fi Channel, if I remember right. Was it Sci-Fi Channel? Or no, it might have been a network program. And it starred, what's his name? Stuart. Fuck, what's his name? The guy that played Lestat in Queen of the Damned. What's his name? He used to be married to Charlize Theron. Stuart Townsend? I think that's his name. Stuart Townsend. He played Kolchak. There was a remake. I want to say it was maybe mid to late 2000s. I thought it was a good show. It got canceled because nobody was watching it. But they tried that one. But I'd be down for another remake of that. Maybe one that actually caught on. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of good shows that could use a continuation or a remake. One thing I hate though is because it's very rarely done right is when they like take a popular movie and try to turn it into a TV show.
Yeah.
It very, very, very rarely actually
and the vice versa, the thing I really hated a lot that was popular like in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Oh, go the
very serious show and turn it into a comedy movie.
Yeah. 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 I mean, look, What's the saying? There's only so many ideas in the world. People just keep remaking them, right? Like there's only so many stories to tell, right? People just try and find new ways to tell the same story over and over again. And there's some truth to that. I mean, even with something, look at Star Wars, right? Like Star Wars is not, as far as, basic story plot concept is not original,
Yeah, he borrowed from a lot of mythologies.
Yeah.
Which a lot of writers do. It's
Yeah.
there. That's not a bad thing, to borrow from other mythologies.
Yeah.
Well, his bad thing is to copy somebody directly, but which he didn't do, though.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, look, I'm trying to think. I mean, if we talk about truly original, like the first thing that pops into my mind, if you say like, what's something that you can think of that at least when it came out was truly original? For me, the first thing that pops up is Star Trek. When Star Trek came out, it was a truly original concept.
Mm-hmm.
Even in sci-fi, it was a truly original. I mean, now it's been copied so many fucking times over and over and over again.
The thing is, right now though, we don't even. The closest thing we got to actual traditional Star Trek now was the Orville.
Yeah. Which, is that ever coming back?
Modern Star Trek, they got rid of the enlightenment of humankind.
Uh-huh.
Their humans are just as evil and wicked as they are in modern era.
Yeah.
That was the whole point of Star Trek. The humans went past all that.
Yeah.
And they ripped all the bad parts of the human psyche and like behavioral patterns was represented by other aliens.
Yeah. I mean, well, because it was supposed to be like a hopeful, uplifting tale of humanity, right?
Well,
where the problems they run into are, for the most part, with just very rare exceptions, are not caused by humanity.
Yeah.
Humanity's the ones going out there trying to make the galaxy better in the face of other species and other things going on. And I think the only thing that kept that was Lower Decks. Lower Decks still had that.
Mm-hmm. Night Strike was saying Orville's dead, but actually they've gotten greenlit for a 4th season.
I wish.
I hope they go back to the first.
It's probably going to be like 2-3 years from now, but
yeah, I hope they just go back to doing the comedy from the first 2 seasons, because that last one was just awful.
Actually, I loved the last season.
What?
That was what he wanted to make from the get-go.
Yeah, it was trash. He should stick to the first 2.
He didn't want all that comedy in it. He wanted to be basically. He wrote the original concept for the show. He pitched it to Paramount to do a Star Trek series.
No. Oh, Jen's got a good point. Max Headroom, most original thing I can think of. Max Headroom was, for the few of us that remember that show.
Yeah.
It was an actual show, not just the Pepsi commercials, but the actual Max Headroom show.
Oh, I remember.
Was very original. Yeah, that's true.
It was basically Cyberpunk before Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
It's the OG Cyberpunk.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm always down for a good remake or continuation or whatever. I mean, if it's done right. I mean, like I said, dude, I remember.
Do a time skip and bring back Star Trek Continuum.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
What about Starship Troopers? You hear about that?
Which one?
Starship Troopers is getting a remake by Sony.
Ooh. Well, you know what? I'd be down for a remake if they go more like in accordance with the books, because the movie was significantly different from the books in tone and things like that. I love the movie for what it is. I'm a huge fan of the movie. It's one of my favorite sci-fi movies. It's ultimately rewatchable. But yeah, if they're going to do something different, like again, stick to the book. I'd be down for that. If you're gonna make it significantly different enough that it's worth doing a reboot, then I'm okay with it. You know.
Here's a question: if live action with Starship Troopers, if they follow the book, they got like Exo Squad Max.
Yes.
Which makes more sense than fighting the bugs. Instead of being like on the foot and shoot them with.
Yeah, which they did finally bring in that third movie. Remember that third movie they did?
I don't think anybody remembers the third movie.
Yeah. Well, the third movie was okay. So first movie is just phenomenal. Second movie is a steaming pile of dog shit. Third movie is okay. Third movie is significantly better than the second one, but it could never, ever, ever be as good as the first one.
So what I was thinking that too, though, if you had a choice, a reboot to Starship Troopers or a live-action Exo Squad.
I think 2 is trash too.
Oh, I would.
You could only pick one if you want to do.
I'd go live-action Exo Squad all day long. I'd take a reboot on the animated Exo Squad. I mean, as long as it was done this to the level, like Exo Squad was so. I mean, it was the closest thing that I think we had here in the United States to like a really in-depth, character-driven, deep, many times dark stories. It was like the closest thing that we've had to like really good anime, you know, and that was why I loved it because, well, for the main thing is because like I grew up on Robotech, which Robotech, while not Japanese anime, right, it took a lot of story beats from the original material when they put that show together, and they did use it Japanese animation, but they re-edited it to make it into a completely different story. Yeah, but they kept like the character drama and the character development and the darker aspects of the stories. And it wasn't Robotech was not like it really wasn't a kid's show. It was like an animated sci-fi soap opera in a lot of ways, which really clicked with me as a kid. And Exo Squad was the same thing. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't just you can watch any episode and get a little fun adventure that's trying to sell you a toy kind of thing. It wasn't that kind of show. And so if they were able to do that, whether that be live action or animated or whatever, and not just go, hey, let's just make a thing because people like fucking mechs fighting, you know what I mean? And not put any thought or depth or storytelling or real character drama in it, then it would be pointless to try and redo Exo Squad, because that's what made Exo Squad good. I mean, because I'll be honest, like the animation was okay at best.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
What I would either do like a really nice high-end animated reboot, good stories of Exo Squad, or do a live action.
Yeah, because I mean, I didn't watch it because I liked the toys, but I didn't really like collect the toys. I had a couple of them. I didn't watch it because the anime was great. The animation was great. I watched it because the stories were phenomenal. The characters were great.
Yep. I just thought of a great live action movie they could do. Thundar the Barbarian.
Huh? Yep.
Thundar was sweet. Thundar was so much fun to watch in the early 90s when like Cartoon Network first came out, and you would stay up late at night and you'd get to watch all these super dark, different cartoons that weren't Bugs Bunny. It wasn't like pleasant. It was like Space Ghost, Coast to Coast, Thundar, like Johnny Quest dark episodes. I just loved that era as a kid, exploring into this like whole new genre of different dark cartoons.
That intro theme will pop in my head randomly to this day. It's like dun 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 dun. Dun.
Dude, Hanna-Barbera did some really, really cool shit. Like Hanna-Barbera, there was a period in time, mostly in the 70s, where Hanna-Barbera, they were doing Scooby-Doo and shit and Josie and the Pussycats, but they were also doing, whether it was Johnny Quest or Thundar the Barbarian or you know, whatever, right? Like, they were doing some really, really, really cool, innovative stuff. That, yeah, you're right. Like Cartoon Network was able to bring it back because a lot of, you know, again, good. So like Duke, you're the age that they were targeting because you never saw it as a kid. So when Cartoon Network brought it back, right? Like they were able to introduce you to stuff that a lot of people hadn't seen since like the late 70s or early 80s, you know, and really enjoy that kind of stuff. And yeah, stuff like that would be awesome to like bring back in some way, shape, or form. There's a lot of cool, you know,
a lot of their Hanna-Barbera properties would be great. Reboot
Oh, yeah.
or live action, either way.
Yeah.
I'm right next to Duke's age, and I'm like, yeah, it was cool seeing all those little Hanna-Barbera cartoons.
Yeah, and it was cool because, you know, there was still a lot of value to those things. But, you know, if you were, you know, born after like 1985, you never saw that because it wasn't on TV, which was what was really cool about Cartoon Network for a long time. I mean, I can't remember when Cartoon Network started. What was it, 92? Between 92 and 94, where they were like, in addition to putting new stuff out there, they were bringing back cool old cartoons. And then, you know, like with Adult Swim and some of the late night stuff, they were bringing back, you know, the stuff like that was like either much darker or weirder or whatever it was that, you know, kept it from being like a, you know, afternoon after school type of cartoon. But then you got to experience that stuff. There was a lot of cool stuff. In fact, speaking of that, and I don't know if they were fucking the same. I can't remember. No, I don't think they were. But Sci-Fi Channel in the 90s and even going into the early 2000s was doing the same stuff. I remember Sci-Fi Channel. Like my favorite era of Sci-Fi Channel was when you had Sci-Fi Fridays, right? With Stargate. Yeah, Stargate, Farscape, First Wave. I'm trying to think. There was a bunch of them, but Sci-Fi Fridays was awesome. And then during the day, remember Monday through Friday, every day was a different theme. They would do like Fantasy Mondays, and they would just play like Hercules or Xena or whatever. And then they do Sci-Fi Wednesdays, and it would be. Maybe it would be Lost in Space, or maybe it would be classic original Star Trek, or something. There would be like a
Twilight Zone.
Week.
Yep, Twilight Zone, Battlestar Galactica, Alien Nation, or V. They would play like they would play all of V.
One thing we were just talking about it earlier, but they'd have like one of the days of the week would be horror, right? And they'd play like 8, 9, 10 hours straight of like Kolchak the Night Stalker, or you know, Night Gallery or whatever, right? That was awesome because most of those shows I knew, right? A lot of them I knew. Some of them I had watched because they had been in reruns when I was a kid in the 80s, but a lot of them I might have been aware of but never really got to dive deep into those shows. But then here comes Sci-Fi Channel just being like, here's an 8-hour block of this show that maybe you've never heard of. You know, and it was cool because there's still so much wonderful content that so many people today have just never heard of, and even if they have, they've never seen it. You know, growing up in the 80s, which for me I loved, and this did carry over into the 90s a lot. It really didn't kind of change until I would say mid to late 2000s, but coming up in the 80s and 90s, where there was more TV channels and more time in the day than there were new shows being made. So every network was like digging through old shows to fill up space throughout the day on their networks. And you got to see all kinds of cool. I mean, I remember in the 80s, like that's when because I wasn't originally alive or fucking, I think I might have been old enough to catch the tail end of it. But it wasn't until watching reruns in the 80s that I got to watch All in the Family and the Jeffersons, which hadn't been on the air for years at that point, right? But two fantastic fucking shows that I mean, I think hold up to this day. You know what I mean? It was stuff like that we just don't really have anymore because reruns aren't really a thing like they used to be. You know, because now if you want to watch an old show, you click on Netflix or whatever. We didn't have any of that, so you would watch what was on, and you know.
Oh, okay. I'll say this. No, you can still catch some of this stuff, but they're not in that weird kind of like if you're watching like regular TV. Now they got like these weird offset show like numbers of shows now. Like because I saw one that like plays a lot of westerns now. It's like you can find stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or like maybe you'll find like a little.
That's another thing that I like discovered in the 80s was like stuff like Gunsmoke, you know, like you know, or Rifleman. I don't know how many people.
I couldn't stand it. That was all my grandfather watched, and I couldn't stand it growing up as a kid.
Yeah, but
hated it.
I mean, no, I get that, but like, if it wasn't for the fact that TV channels needed to fill up time, like I never would have seen any of those things. I wouldn't have seen, you know, fucking Good Times. That was another one I used to love to fucking watch. Was Good Times and watching little Janet Jackson. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah.
Because and what was cool about that is because that like by the time I started watching Good Times was when Janet Jackson was now becoming famous for not just being Michael Jackson's little brother, but she was starting to do her own music. So it was like a reason why I was interested in the show. But then you would watch the show and be like, "Oh, this is a good fucking show," you know.
Oh, I forgot completely about this. Forgot about this show. G versus Z, Good versus Evil on Sci-Fi.
Dude, I have a vague memory of that. I don't know if I ever really.
I remember it, but not that much too.
Yeah, I don't know. I
forgot it existed until like
I was
researching like a Sci-Fi Friday shows, and it's like, oh, she got to watch.
I have a memory of like God and the Devil from that show, like sitting in a park playing chess, like as like these overarching characters that were in like the background of that episode. That's my only memory of that show. Of like, yeah, it's like God and the Devil are sitting in a park somewhere, playing chess, talking about humans, and I don't know, but yeah, I know I watched at least some episodes of that show, but I don't remember a lot about it.
I found a list of like all the here I'll copy this site. I'll send it to you. All the different Friday night lineups.
Yeah, the Friday night, the Sci-Fi Fridays was awesome. You know what else is there was I can't remember. It was like between the late 90s and early 2000s. No, it started in the 90s. In fact, I think that was why
1999 with Farscape.
Showtime did this thing starting in the early to mid 90s where they I'm gonna pull this up while we're talking, where they called it on Showtime, it was called Sci Fridays, and
I remember that
they were doing it before Sci-Fi was, because I don't think Sci-Fi was a channel yet.
Yeah, you had the Stargate SG-1.
That's where Stargate started before it went to that. But even before that, they were the ones who brought back the remake that I think lasted for like 5 or 6 seasons of Outer Limits. Remember the 90s Outer Limits?
I love that anthology.
That show was so good.
You rarely had a bad episode of that.
Oh yeah, that show was fantastic. And it was called Sci Fridays on Showtime. And that lasted several seasons, 5 or 6 seasons, I think we got of that show.
Where do you stand with Fact or Fiction Beyond Belief?
Oh, I loved that show.
I just recently revisited it and watched all the episodes. I loved it. I thought it was great. It was a lot easier to chew on than Tales of the Crypt, because that would bother me when that came on in my basement as a kid,
Yeah.
and that would like freak me out bad. I would like turn the channel immediately. When
Oh yeah, the
Tremors
Tremors
came on. That and then I saw the horror movie that I saw on Sci-Fi was Tales from the Hood. And
Oh
I'm gonna
yeah.
tell you, that movie, the ending where that man is Satan and he tricks those 3 black guys into like going into the basement and he's like, "Boys, you're already dead. You were killed outside." And wow, that my head exploded. My head exploded when that happened.
No, that part didn't scare me. The part that scared me was them little slave dolls. I'm like, they're eating that dude up.
I love that because it makes me like, it's so funny that like this super horrible racist guy, rightfully so, is then killed by a bunch of dolls. And I've talked to other people and they love that movie. They love that scene. Makes me happy. I was like, that's super funny.
I was gonna say the dolls look creepy as hell.
Oh, it scared me. It was like, don't you ever think you're gonna go down that path.
Yeah, Sci-Fi Friday. So we got Farscape Sliders First Wave. Lex, that's a good. I've got that on DVD. That's a good show.
Mm-hmm.
Good versus Evil. The Invisible Man. Remember that one? He was a criminal, and they gave him that.
Would secrete that.
His glands would secrete that stuff that made him. Black Scorpion. I have a vague memory of.
It was based off like the B movie they did with actress. I forget her name. Like she was the actress from See No Evil, Hear No Evil from Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder.
Yeah,
she's one of the assassins from the
I
movie.
don't remember Secret Adventures of Jules Verne. Outer Limits. So from 95 to 2000, it was on Showtime. And then 2001, 2002, it came over to Sci-Fi. So it had 7 seasons total. The Chronicle, I don't know what that is. Strange World, I don't remember that. Oh, Dead Zone. Dude, Dead Zone was fantastic. Dead Zone was a great show. In Search of was good. Tracker? I don't remember this. Tremors the series. I don't think I ever watched that.
Bert was the main character in that series.
Okay. Scare Tactics. I love the first few seasons of Scare Tactics. And then it just became absolutely redundant because they only had like 10 actual like pranks and they would just keep pulling the same. After a few episodes, you're like, okay, this is the same shit from a few episodes ago. Stargate Atlantis, Battlestar Galactica, Ghost Hunters. I tried to get into Ghost Hunters, but
Cleopatra 2525.
That was not a good show. Jake 2.0.
That was basically like the sequel to the Bionic Man. Yeah, nanites.
Oh, we couldn't find that URL. Okay.
He had nanites in his body that gave him like abilities.
Special Unit 2. That sounds familiar. Special Unit 2. Detective Kate.
I remember watching it, but I don't remember nothing about it. We could watch basically.
Oh, I do remember this one. They saw that Special Unit 2. Yeah, there's Chicago PD, and there's like an underground department in the Chicago PD where they guard against like weird creatures that everybody thinks are just myths, but they're real.
I remember that.
Bigfoot and shit like that. I do remember that show.
Yeah, I remember.
I do remember that. Yeah, forget who was in it, but yeah, I do remember that one. Let's see. Heroes, of course, everybody saw that. Painkiller Jane. I vaguely remember that being a good show, but I don't know. Flash Gordon was pretty good. I liked that Flash Gordon show. Odyssey 5. This was okay. To go back to what we were talking about earlier, Odyssey 5. This was a show that got 1 season on Showtime. It was part of that Sci Fridays, okay, and it starred Peter Weller. It was I have the the first and only season on DVD. Highly recommend you check it out. However, be aware it ends on a cliffhanger and then got canceled, which was so upsetting. This show was so good. So basically, it's about Peter Weller is like an astronaut, and him and his crew are doing something. It's, I think, slightly futuristic, right? But not much. Where they've got a little bit better technology. And anyway, they're him and his crew, one of which is his son who followed in his footsteps, right? They're on a mission, and while they're on the mission, they see Earth explode and just get destroyed while they're in space. And then right after that happens, they all wake up 5 years in the past in their bodies 5 years earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that all happens right in the first fucking few minutes of the first episode. And so they all remember what happened, right? Everybody who was a part of that crew, him, his son, the other scientists and military people, there's like 5 or 6 of them. They all remember what happened. And so the point of the show is they now have 5 years to try and figure out what destroyed the Earth. And as the show moves through, they stumble across basically an alien conspiracy. And then the first season ends on a cliffhanger. And it was such a good show. It was so well written. And Peter Weller, this is like, Peter Weller in like 2001, 2002, right? Did such a fantastic job as like, the main guy. It was such a good show. I would recommend people check it out, because even though it did get canceled, which is going to piss you off, it's still such a good show to watch. It's worth it. It's worth dealing with the fact that you're not going to see the end. But that, like we were saying earlier, that is a show I would love to see. I think it would be impossible to continue it, but reboot it. Like, I would love to see that show rebooted. Take that same concept and, get new actors and stuff. Because again, that show's like 23 years old. And because it was such a cool concept, and if it was well done, and actually get a show where we get a full story and find out what happened and all that kind of shit. But yeah, I would highly recommend checking out this. Like I said, it's called Odyssey 5. 2 thumbs up. Phenomenal show.
Oh, also, Sci-Fi Fridays, somebody mentioned in the chat too. Warehouse 13, and you also had Eureka, which actually would interact with each other.
Yeah, those shows were so fucking good. So good.
Eureka got canceled way too soon.
Yeah, it did.
But you saw their budget was getting like dwindling each season, because they couldn't do all the crazy, fantastical technology advancements they would show before.
Yeah. Let's see. Charlie Jade. I have vague memories of this show, to the point that this is a show that I keep meaning to watch. Like, I would have memories of it, and then I would forget what it was called. And it was a show about like these 3 different parallel Earths that were all connected. And there's like, in one of the Earths, there's this corporation who's found a way to travel from parallel Earth to parallel Earth, and they're doing it to try and take advantage of the situation. And the main character, I can't remember if he's like a detective or a cop or what he is. He lives in an Earth that's like just completely like corporate dystopian future. And anyway, it was actually really cool, like multiple, like a multiversal type of show. I think, again, although I think that one might have actually had an ending. that one might have actually had like a full, even though it was canceled, like that one might have actually had like an end to the story.
We need a top 10. We need a top 10 of like what of shows that got that left on cliffhangers unfairly. You know what I mean?
Top 10 shows that ended too soon.
Yeah, like Jericho. Like Jericho's definitely
Jericho. God damn.
Jericho has got to be like number one. Alienation only had like a season or two, and left on a cliffhanger. And they did come out with some movies, like 5 movies that did kind of wrap it up. And I'll be honest, I love Alienation. Alienation's top 10 TV shows of all time for me.
I haven't watched that since the 90s.
It is good. It is dated. And you will say like, oh, this is dated, but I think it's relevant, and it attacked like some super deep issues of like racism ish. I mean, because they're species, so okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But like just some really cool topics, and it was buddy cop, but it had sci-fi elements, and then it had some like Nazi stuff because they were always looking for Klingon soon. Because those were the
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I told my dad, Klingon soon.
Yeah, well, because there was the 2 tiers of aliens, right? Like the ones that showed up, that was the slave ship, basically, right?
And the Klingon soon were the Nazi overseers, and they had like a mark on their wrist, and it showed that they were the slave masters.
Yeah,
and so they were like hidden in society, and it was just cool because, and there was a bunch of goofy stuff like there were so many newcomers that they did like a history thing where they named all these newcomers celebrity names because they ran out of names at Ellis Island or LA, wherever it was.
Yeah.
LAX. And so they would always make a joke like, oh, who's this guy? Oh, that's Albert Einstein. And it's the janitor. You know what I mean? So I always like that stuff.
Yeah. No, I do remember liking that show a lot, but I haven't watched it in a really, really long time.
It holds up.
It's fun. That's one I haven't seen in a long time either. I had to think about when you said Alienation.
It's worth every minute. It's worth every minute.
Which the aliens almost as if they were kind of the inspiration a little bit for the Babylon 5, what you call it, and the Nempari.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. That reminds me. I don't know what. Remember? What was the name? It was. There was 2 shows. Why am I blanking on the name of the Gene Roddenberry show? Andromeda and Earth Final Conflict.
And I really enjoyed the first 2 seasons of Earth Final Conflict. Then it just went to shit.
Was it Ta'an and all those?
Well, I mean, from the point of view of like shows that I think had really cool concepts that I wouldn't necessarily. I'd be okay if Earth Final Conflict and Andromeda both got remade, not continued. Like take the concept.
Those were good concepts, not great executions, basically because they're an element of their time.
Yeah,
they were too complex of shows to do at their time.
Yeah, I think those are 2 shows that would fucking really work well being, rebooted and remade by modern standards, because there was a lot of cool stuff in both those shows. I think I watched all 5 seasons of Andromeda, and Andromeda was one of those shows like the concept was better than the show.
Yes.
The show, and it's not that I didn't like the show. I did. It was cool, fun, sci-fi, but it was low budget, fucking cool, fun sci-fi.
The writing wasn't consistent either.
No, it wasn't. And especially getting towards the last season or 2, they made some really, in my opinion, bad choices with some of the characters.
Oh, what to do with Tyr was terrible.
Yeah. But the concept, this kind of, it was, and you could tell it was, Gene Roddenberry, right? Like the concept of what did they call it? Was it the Confederates? What was the name of it wasn't the Federation. It was something else that they called it. And, you could tell it was like his, very much inspired by Gene Roddenberry, like wanting to create something else other than Star Trek, but there were still those kind of ties to some of the things that, you know, he felt were important in telling a story and things like that, but he took it in a whole different direction where it's like, okay, well, what if like the Federation essentially came under attack and got completely overtaken and destroyed, and there was no more Federation, but somehow one ship and one captain who truly believed in the Federation's mission escaped and woke up 300 years later. I mean, that's essentially the story of Andromeda, which is cool. I like that story, you know, and I thought, like I said, I thought it was a really cool concept. The concept is better than the show. And I think the same thing with Earth Final Conflict. The concept of Earth Final Conflict is better than what the show did. So those are two things that I think would work really, really well getting rebooted. So I'd be down with those. But let's see.
Commonwealth. There we go.
The Commonwealth. There you go. The Commonwealth.
I had to look it up. It was going to bother me until I looked it up. Oh, another one from the 90s. I enjoyed the first season, but then it kind of went to dog shit. But the War of the Worlds.
Oh, that was 80s though, wasn't it?
Yes, late 80s.
Late 80s, yeah. Yeah, that I remember. Was that 1 or 2 seasons? How far did that make it?
2 seasons, and they completely changed the premise of the show in the second season.
Yeah, I haven't watched that in so long.
The main bad guys, like well, the aliens, they survived, but they had to use human host bodies to move around, and they would eventually rot the body that had to go to another body. And it had a pretty good cast. The main military guy was like one of the guys from Predator. I think it was I know, yeah, and he was what's his name? What was his name in Predator? He was like the smallest dude out of all the dudes in Predator. I can't remember. One of the smallest dudes, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but I know exactly, yeah. But yeah, that was a good, from what I remember. Again, this was from the 80s, and I've never seen it since then, but I remember
he was my favorite character from the first season. In the first episode of season 2, they killed him off.
Because I remember, wasn't the thing with that was like, it was, well, of course, for the 80s, it was a modern take on the original War of the Worlds movie, that happened.
It happened.
And now
aliens were not dead, they were dormant. And they were they'd store them like in 55-gallon drums.
Yeah, and those drums. Yeah, I remember them being in those fucking drums and shit. Yeah.
And they would take host. But when season 2 started, a more advanced version of the same race shows up and basically kills all the other aliens, kills off several people, like my favorite character, the main cast, and change things up. And they don't have the issue where they don't break down bodies, and it sucked. It just sucked. Season 2 did. Yeah, it's such a cool concept with the first season.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've watched that, but I remember liking it as a kid. But
well, it's kind of like an Earth Final Conflict too, when they killed off the main character at the final episode, and then brought in the hybrid. Then season 3 got rid of his powers, introduced I think that blonde chick that basically, that's one of the first shows where they start doing Slay Queen type thing. That started showing up back then in the 90s.
Was it first or second or third season where they just completely got rid of the main character, the main guy?
The end of the first season, he's in a healing chamber and they kill him off.
And then they bring in that other dude who's way more annoying. Yeah, I didn't like his character.
He had powers like whatever the aliens were called. The human alien hybrid.
Yeah. I like Boone.
Boone was a lot better character. Of course, he's a lot bigger name actor too, even back then.
Yeah.
The other guy was basically a newcomer actor.
You know what it reminded me of when I watched that? It reminded me of when in Sliders season 5 they just replaced Jerry O'Connell with some rando fucking dude.
Oh, that was his brother.
No. I'm not talking. I'm talking about that's season 4 where his brother comes on the show. But in season 5, when they didn't sci-fi didn't want to pay Jerry O'Connell more money, so him and his brother left, and they did that whole thing where it's like, oh no, it's still Quinn, but it's a different version of Quinn who has all our Quinn's memories along with a bunch of other versions of Quinn's memories and all this weird fucking stupid shit.
Yeah, I hated that.
What the shit?
Is this?
Yeah,
they killed off a lot of big characters and sliders and like kind of like off screen. And
all right, my number one show. I'm sorry, Duke. My number one show to do a continuation of would be Sliders. Number 2 for me would be Jericho.
Okay.
Number 1 would be Sliders because
I'm not mad.
That was and still is to this day, at least the first 4 seasons, one of my top 5 favorite shows of all time.
I couldn't get into it. Like when it came out, I watched the first season, and that was it.
I think I know I do. I still have all 5 seasons of Sliders on DVD from like back in the early 2000s or something. That is and has been one of my favorite shows. The 5th season is trash because by the 5th season, the only character that's left is Rembrandt, which he's a good character, except he was never supposed to be the main character on the show. And in the 5th season, because he's the only one left, he becomes the de facto main character.
Yep.
And it just doesn't really work. That's not how his character was built as like sometimes the comic relief, the guy that, got pulled into it who had, nothing to do with anything. He was just like some, washed up singer that just happened to be driving by at the wrong time to get sucked into everything with everybody else. And it's just like, no, he was a good character when he was part of the ensemble of, Quinn and the professor and everybody. But when he's the only one that's left and everybody else on the show is like some replacement fucking character, no. And then the stories were all like just rehashes of shit that had already been done in earlier seasons. Like that 5th season was awful. It was awful. They need to find a way. They need to fucking do. Remember that there was a little internet video that went around a few years ago where Jerry O'Connell like jumps out of a fucking slide and is like, "We're back, guys." And then at the end of this like little internet video, he's like, "No, I'm just kidding. We're not coming back." But I had you there, didn't I? Like, it was like that's what I want to see. I want to see Jerry O'Connell and everybody fucking come back and do more Sliders. Like, we found Quinn again, and it's 20 years later, and whatever. I don't know. Figure it out. It's sci-fi. There's a way you can make it work. I don't care. But yeah, that would be my number 1.
I always like the professor.
Jericho would still be number 2.
I always like the professor's character.
Professor was great. All the characters. I loved that show.
Rembrandt was really good too. Like when went to that planet where he was like a superstar, like Elvis.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And he was like supposedly their Elvis Rembrandt was dead, but he was actually faked his death, like what they said.
Yeah, he faked his death like Elvis, and because he didn't want the fame anymore, and then the Rembrandt from the show was like, "Fuck, I'll do it." So, yeah, that was a great damn show. I loved that show. That's one of my favorite shows of all time. But oh, damn. Nostalgia. I love some good old-fashioned nostalgia. It's always great. It's always good. But speaking of nostalgia, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for you to have some nostalgia for your own home because it is time for us to get the fuck out of here. And I know some of y'all are like, what the fuck? You started early and you're going to fucking not going to keep going? Well, I may have started early for you, but not for me. Remember, I'm in a different time zone now. It's almost 10 o'clock my time. So I apologize, but I'm
in East Coast time now, and my vagina's bleeding.
my vagina is bleeding.
I'll just like to say,
I'll
just like to say, I want them to bring Highlander back. That's all.
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're supposed to be doing that.
HBO.
That remake with Henry Cavill. I mean, he's tweeted about it. Apparently, it's still going to happen. I don't know
That's
when.
great. Adrian Paul still damn looks good to be his age.
I mean,
Are we sure he's not?
I haven't seen him. I can't remember last time I saw him.
I haven't seen him in a while.
No, Christopher Lambert looks like he hit every limb out of Father Time's tree.
Well, yeah, because the dude's in his 70s, man.
Plus, he was killed off in the last movie anyway.
Old as shit, which was.
Well, that wasn't the last movie. They did like 2 movies after that, I think.
Wait,
yeah.
what?
Well, they did 1 movie after that. They did Adrian Paul did a fucking
Which
movie.
one was the
after
one with
that.
the preacher in it that was killing people?
I don't remember that one. Who knows?
The last one they did with Adrian Paul was a post-apocalyptic movie.
Yeah,
I don't remember that one.
that was the one that came after. What did they? Wasn't it called Highlander Endgame? I think that's what it was called. Highlander Endgame was the one where Connor died.
Yeah.
So
with the former
gets me
preacher, the Reverend,
Endgame,
he was killing people. He was going into the church and killing like the rest of them.
yeah,
Dude, it was by far the best movie with the name Endgame in it.
no, it wasn't.
Second best.
Endgame, there's a different there's a trailer for basically a different movie.
Well, it should have been a different fucking movie because
The
there's no way you
original
walk on it.
trailer looks fucking fantastic. The movie they gave us is nothing like it. The bad guy actually had magic powers. That was one of the reasons why Connor sacrificed himself so let Duncan have the power to take him down.
Yeah.
He actually had Doctor Strange level magic. The bad guy did. He didn't just split his sword in 2.
I don't know, man. I tried everything I can to forget that fucking movie.
I want to see the original cut. The second movie, we got like 15 cuts of it. I want to see the original.
That movie doesn't even need to exist because by the time in the Highlander movie history that movie is supposed to take place, okay, Duncan has already completed his mission. He was not there to be the last one. He was there to defeat that great evil. Then he got to go back where they came from. He's not even supposed to be on Earth at that point.
Yeah.
And Connor already would have been the last one. But somehow, let's make another movie and throw both of them in there and then kill off Connor and never explain why Duncan is still around, even though we saw him leave. He fucking literally ghosted and disappeared and went back to where all the Highlanders come from. Like, what the shit? That movie shouldn't exist. Anyway.
That movie's great. Shut up. Love that.
Shit, just like Terminator 3. Anyway, sorry, Duke. I didn't mean to upset you with that Terminator 3 reference. I know that's your favorite movie, Duke, of all time.
I like it.
But
Duke likes Terminator 3 also. Doesn't that have Khaleesi in it?
I like the Salvation.
I think it's so realistic in Terminator 3
Terminator
when you use a computer virus to take over hydraulics. Mechanical
Dude, you get to see Khaleesi's so hot in that movie, whatever her actress name is. I don't remember her name.
Emilia Clarke.
If that's right, I don't know. But yes, sure. I never cared enough to pay attention to that.
No. All right. We're getting out of here, assholes. We will see y'all guys later. We'll be back on Monday for the G&G podcast over on the other channel. Well, actually, I'm streaming on both channels right now. And then we'll be back on the Geek Fusion channel on Friday. I got some videos I got to make for that channel. Jared, you're doing your chat tomorrow. Honda, are you doing a chat tomorrow?
I might be doing it, or I might be doing working on my bike live stream because we're going to be installing like a fucking $500 carburetor on my bike.
Oh, you got it?
Better performance.
You got that one we were talking about?
Yeah. I spent the money and got it. Fucking
cool. Awesome.
Fuck it. It costs as much as the bike cost. The bike cost $500 when I bought it. The carburetor is $500, so it doubled the cost of the fucking bike. But
Well,
everyone says it's the upgrade. So,
all right. Well, cool, man. All right, guys, we're gonna get out of here. We'll see y'all later. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Shaman the depression. So, all right.
Batacap here.
Later, guys.
Break the troops.